This is a re-narration of my short story, as I've rewritten it and changed several things. I'm going to leave the original one up so you could, if you'd like to compare the two, also because it has over 50 views, which for me is a pretty decent amount. I might re-narrate the other four parts of this story, as I have made a couple changes with certain words here and there. I'm not certain if I'm going to re-narrate them because it's mostly the same. Also, I didn't get the title worked out properly, which I now have. Also, just a synopsis here for this, all five parts. The synopsis for this story is this: when a goddess tries to spend some time with a dungeon master, things don't go quite like she hoped they would. And here's a little background for you, which you kind of need. The story takes place at some point in the near future of my Forestera's Fate series, two books that I've written and have self-published on Amazon and have narrated here on my channel. And while you won't understand parts of this story if you've never read or listened to my narration, here's all you need to know. Sheila is a half wood elf goddess, and Forestera is the world that she created. The dungeon master is a human who is from another reality, who is somehow way more powerful than she is. At some point in book 1, they meet, and in book 2, they meet again, but it was a little more involved the second time. But after their second meeting, he told her that they'd almost certainly never meet again, since he exists in a different reality. This made Sheila sad. So, being a goddess, she decided to take matters into her own hands and see if she could give him no choice but to come see her. If only she fully understood what the problem was. Oh well. This is part 1 of a 5-part story, the rest of which is found on my blog. There are links in the description to my blog so you can read all 5 parts for yourself. And I'd love it if you would leave a comment either on my blog or here on YouTube, as I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, positive or negative. I'm very open to constructive criticism. I've received plenty of both for my books, so I would love to chat with all of you. Also, Sheila and the Dungeon Master contains some adult themes that involve nudity and sexuality, along with a couple scenes that involve blood and gore. Then again, so did a couple parts of my second book, kind of. What else did I want to say? I will be publishing this short story on Amazon at some point, waiting to get the cover made and possibly some black and white illustrations. It's going to be about 70 pages long. So I hope you check that out too once I put it up there, once I self-publish it. Anyway, Sheila and the Dungeon Master, a short D&D story. Part 1, The Meeting. Sheila started looking around. I know you can hear me, so why don't you just show yourself and let's hang out for a bit. There was no response, but she expected that. Look, there's really no point in doing this anymore. I know what you are, and I want to see you and talk to you. But the silence continued. Frustrated, she started to cast a spell. Either you show up, or I'm going to wreak havoc around here. I want to talk to you again, so let's go. Are you really going to cast that spell? The Dungeon Master thought to himself as he brought Sheila into view and just stared at her for a moment. Why are you acting like this? He said. Stop casting that spell. Aha! She said. I knew you could hear me. Why did you stop me from casting my spell? The Dungeon Master just rolled his eyes. That was clearly you. So come on, show yourself. No response. Fine. I'll just cast it again. You think stopping me from casting it will work? She then thought about what she just said. Well, okay, I guess you can just keep stopping me. But clearly you're doing it, since no one else is around here to stop me. So either show yourself, or I'll just keep casting it until you do. The dungeon master appeared before her. Why are you being such a pest? She smiled. Why, hello, dungeon master. Thank you so much for coming to my realm. The dungeon master did not look happy. I'm taking away your ability to cast that spell. What do you think you're doing? Why, getting your attention. What else? He just rolled his eyes some more and walked up to her. I'm not supposed to be here. Therefore, you need to stop doing this. We don't belong in the same reality. And she interrupted him. But you're here. So now that you're here, sit down and talk to me, she said, as she sat down on her couch. Sit down and talk to you? Why? Because I want to get to know you and you me. I think we could become great friends. Sheila, I already explained this to you, he said, as he slightly glanced at her body. She interrupted him again. But now you're here, so now we can talk. No, I'm going now. She looked a little desperate. No, please don't go. I want to get to know you, and you me. I need to get to know you. No, you don't. Yes, I do. I want to understand all that a dungeon master is, and why you're more powerful than I am. He sighed. It doesn't matter. He started to make like he was going to leave, so she jumped up fast. Please don't leave. I'm begging you. Sitting back on her beautiful couch now. Just sit here with me for a little bit, and let's talk. Please? I barely know you. Thinking quickly, she came up with something to distract him, hoping it would keep him from leaving right away. If you and I had a child, what would it be like? He looked a little shocked as he sat down next to her. What would our child be like? Sheila, if a dungeon master and a goddess had a child, it could be anything from an angelic prince or princess to a demon spawned from hell. We can't have a child. Okay, just make love to me then, but don't get me pregnant. Temptation started coursing through his body now. What? Sheila, you don't understand. We can't have sex. Why? 'Cause we just can't. Oh, don't be silly. Of course we can. It would be fun. But right now, I just want to sit here and talk to you. And hold you. And kiss you and stuff. He stood up. Okay, Sheila, look. I get why you want to get to know me. But I really need to get going. So what's stopping you? He looked a little confused now. What? You're a dungeon master. If you want to go, I certainly can't stop you. But you said we'd almost certainly never meet again. Yet here you are. So clearly you wanted to see me again, she said, smiling. Okay, fine. I'm happy to see you again. And yes, I can leave anytime I want to. But you want me to stay. So I'm not just going to up and leave like that. That would be rude, let alone unfair to you. You want to talk and get to know me. He sighed. Okay, fine. He sat back down again and leaned in and kissed her on her lips, very gently, which surprised her. Their eyes met. Look, Sheila, I like you. I really do. But I'm not in a position to have a relationship with you. Yet you just kissed me. Oh, and I can hear your heart beating too. Not amused, he leaned back and tried to relax. She smiled. Let's kiss some more, she said, trying to look seductive. He looked at her again. Look, you little whimsical fairy. I know what you're trying to do, but it won't work. You can't woo a dungeon master. She moved closer to him and looked into his eyes again. I'm a goddess. I think I can. And I think I am. She leaned in to kiss him. He allowed it, but then pulled back. Look, Sheila, I like you, okay? And you're very beautiful. and you're a very handsome man, though you look a little older than the last time we met. Are you aging?" "Yes, I am." Sheila was intrigued now. "Why? Just for fun?" She turned herself into an older-looking woman. "Do you prefer older women?" she said, as she continued to try to look seductive. Now it was the dungeon master who was smiling. "Well, even as an older woman, I still find you very attractive. But no, I'm not doing this for fun. I'm aging because I'm under a curse." She gave him a strange look. "You're under a curse? How can you be under a curse? You're a dungeon master, and even though I don't fully understand what a dungeon master is, I find it quite hard to believe that you could fall under a curse. What is this curse that you are under?" "Mortality." "Mortality? You're mortal? How?" "I don't know, but I'm just going to keep getting older, and one day I will leave this mortal coil behind. I can only hope that a better future awaits me, but I can't kill myself. Well, I can, but I don't think that's a good idea. Everything within me is telling me that I just need to ride this out and eventually grow old and die." "What? So you're no different than a mortal human? How is that possible?" "I don't know." She looked at him oddly now. "How come you can't undo this curse? You're a dungeon master. This makes no sense." "I know, but I can't. Do you think I wouldn't remove it if I could? I have no clue why or how this happened to me, but it happened. Also, I don't even remember what I was before I was born as this human." "Wait, what? You were born as this human? Then how can you be a dungeon master?" "I'm not entirely sure, but I am a dungeon master. But I'm restricted in my powers somewhat, meaning that there isn't anything I can do about my situation. Otherwise, I'd just undo it." "Yet you appeared before us when we went adventuring, and then you were in amber. How?" "Because as a dungeon master, I have the power to do things like that. There's more, but I don't want to get into it with you. It would just confuse you far more than you're already confused." She tried looking seductive. "Why don't you want to have sex?" "Back to sex again? You're starting to sound like Lorraine now." She laughed. "Ha! I guess I am. So if we had a child, it could become something like Dara?" "Oh, so you finished those books?" "Almost. Just one more to read." He smiled. "Well, if we had a child, it could be much worse than Dara. You're just going to have to trust me on this." "Okay, fine. So why don't you want to have sex with me?" "You just won't quit, will you?" A smirk formed on her face. "Nope." He looked into her eyes. "Because I might fall in love with you if we do. Actually, I almost certainly would fall in love with you if we did." "What's wrong with that?" "Sheila, I just turned 60 years old, and while I can alter my appearance, it wouldn't last. Similar to Bale's condition. Do you follow?" "Yes, but so what? I want to be with you. Age doesn't bother me, and I can make myself look as old as you. So what's the problem?" "The problem is that if I give in to this temptation, it could make things worse for me. Besides, I don't exist in your reality. It's just a matter of time before I'll be forced back into my own." "Then take me with you." "That won't work either, for in time you'd just end up back here." She looked a little puzzled. "Okay, fine. So I'll go be with you, and when I'm back in my reality, you come be with me, and back and forth we'll go." "That still won't work, for the amount of time we'd be away from each other would be far greater than the time we'd be together." "I don't care. I want to be with you. If it's only for a little bit, that's still better than nothing." He sighed again. "Okay, listen to me. If we tried this, there's a very real possibility that it would backfire horribly on both of us." His comment confused her. "How so?" "I'm not entirely sure, but it could be really bad. I won't risk doing that to you, let alone to myself. I need to live out my mortal existence in my reality and hope that I end up in a better place when I die. You're a dungeon master, yet you don't know what will happen to you when you die? Huh? Because of the curse I'm under, yes. I have no idea what will happen. Like I said, I don't know where I was before I was born as this human. But I'm assuming that because I'm a dungeon master, that I'll be free to go where I want. He then looked deeply into her eyes. And I assure you, Sheila, that the first place I'm going to go, if I can, is to you. She smiled, but then looked sad. So we can't be together now? We can for a little bit, here and there, but just like why you didn't keep turning Bale back into a half-elf, we shouldn't keep seeing each other. Can I at least see where you're from? You can take me there, yes? Yes, but the world I live in won't make any sense to you. For one thing, there isn't any magic there. Sheila looks shocked. Well, there is, but it functions entirely differently from how it functions here. Where I'm from, it's called technology. Sheila was looking curious now. Technology? Show me. I want to see your world. If I take you to my reality for a bit and then bring you back here, will that be good enough for you? Or will you want us to keep seeing each other as often as we can? Obviously, I want us to keep seeing each other as often as we can. I don't see what the problem is. Even though we're not going to have any sex. I don't care about sex, she said. I just want to spend time with you, to get to know you. Sex is fun, obviously. So I just thought I'd try to lure you into bed, she said seductively. But sex isn't necessary to have a wonderful relationship with someone. I just want to get to know you and you me. Well, I already know all about you. She looked a little surprised. Oh, really? Where did I live as a mortal? And how old was I when I died? You were 188, and the world you lived in is considered a fantasy world in my reality. We call it Greyhawk, but I believe the world is called Orth? I forget. I think that's what you all called it. Now she really looked surprised. The world I lived in is considered a fantasy world where you come from? I'm so confused. Okay, how about this? What were my parents' names? What did they do? And where are they now? He sighed. Okay, your dad's name is Tarsus, and your mom's is Shay. They are angelic spirits now, and are eternally bonded because they are soulmates. He then looked into her eyes. And I really hope that you and I are soulmates, because if we are, then that means I'll most definitely see you again, let alone that we'll spend eternity together. That's the other reason I'm willing to wait. I can only hope that's the case. How could you possibly know all about me, all that about me? And please don't say because you're a dungeon master. A smirk formed on his face. But that's exactly why. He then thought for a moment. I wasn't going to show you, but now that we've gone this far, I'm just going to take the chance and hope nothing bad comes from this. Come with me to my reality, and I'll show you how I know all about you. What happened on my 40th birthday? I don't know. What? Why? Because I only know what I wrote down. Sheila was looking a little nervous now. What you wrote down? What, did you come and observe me at times? No. He put out his hand. Take my hand, and I'll take you to my reality, but only for a little bit. And there I'll show you how I know what I know about you. I need to prepare you, though. This will greatly confuse you, but there's nothing to fear. Nothing bad will happen to you. You just said that you hope nothing bad comes from this. I meant afterwards. Oh. She wasn't sure what to say now. Okay, I guess. She took hold of his hand. Let's go, she said, feeling nervous. Sheila found herself in a room. She could see out some strange-looking windows that they weren't on the ground, but were up a couple levels. This is where I live. It's called an apartment, similar to what they have at the keep. Oh, okay. Everything about this place looked very bizarre to her, but she tried to act casual. Can you take me outside later? He gave her a funny look. Sorry, but no. Everyone in this world is human. Well, as far as I know, everyone is. You draw a lot of attention. Everyone is human? Just human? Nothing else? No, just humans. There are no elves or dwarves or any other race in my world. I walked her around my apartment and showed her different things, like the faucet in my kitchen and in my bathtub. Of course, when I made water come out of them, it looked like a spell of some kind to her. I then showed her my computer. It was sitting on a table, which looked very strange to her. This is called a computer. I use it for different reasons, but one of the things I use it for is to write. I started showing her some of my books that I had written. Remember how Drana remembers her entire life as though she lived it, yet you know she didn't? Sheila looked at me now with fear in her eyes. Are you saying that I only exist because you wrote me into existence? I wasn't quite sure how to answer that. As far as I know, but maybe I simply tapped into your reality somehow, which is how I was able to write all that I wrote. Sheila was still looking nervous. So I'm just a story? In your book? I kept trying to come up with the best way to respond. Well, yes and no. I mean, I don't know what you did yesterday, or the day before that, or the day before that, and on and on. I only know what I wrote. So you know way more about yourself than I do. Of course, I'm writing this too. Now she looks scared. What? This is only happening because you're writing it? Show me. I called up my latest work, Sheila and the Dungeon Master, a short story. And she read it. That's as far as I got, I said.